The plane touched down 2 hours early. Lightning had closed the airport in Boston, so they sent us home to Chicago instead. I sat in my car in the airport parking lot, thinking about my husband Daniel. I missed him so much. We had been married for 6 years. 6 beautiful years. I worked hard traveling for my job, selling computers to big companies. Daniel stayed home because he lost his job last spring. But I didn't mind. I loved him. I trusted him. I thought we were a team. I thought we told each other everything. I was so wrong. So very, very wrong. I decided not to call Daniel. I wanted to see his face when I walked through the door. Maybe we could make his favorite pasta for dinner. Maybe we could watch that funny movie he kept talking about. Simple things. Happy things. Things that normal husbands and wives do together. I drove home with a smile on my face. The sun was going down, making the sky turn orange and pink. Pretty colors. I remember thinking how lucky I was. Lucky to have a home. Lucky to have Daniel. Lucky to have a good job that paid for everything we needed. But luck runs out sometimes. And mine was about to run out completely. Before I keep going, please write where you are watching this from. I love knowing where everyone is listening from around the world. And if this is your first time here, please click subscribe. It really helps me make more stories like this one. Thank you so much. Now let me tell you what happened next. I pulled onto our street just as the streetlights turned on. But something looked strange. Very strange. Cars were everywhere. Parked on both sides of the street. I knew some of those cars. My mom's red car. My sister's white van. Daniel's mom's big truck. And others I didn't know. My heart started beating faster. Why were all these people at my house? Was someone hurt? Was Daniel okay? Then I saw them. Balloons. Lots and lots of balloons. Pink ones and blue ones tied to our fence, hanging from our front door, floating in our yard. A big sign hung in the window. Big letters that said, "Welcome our little miracle. Baby." Someone was having a baby. My stomach felt sick. My hands started shaking. I parked my car down the street and just sat there. Staring. Watching. Afraid to move. Afraid to know what was happening inside my house. I called my friend Jenny. She lived 3 houses down from us. She was my closest friend since we were kids. We told each other everything. Or so I thought. "Jenny, what's happening at my house?" I asked when she answered. Her voice got quiet. "Heather, you're supposed to be in Boston. Came home early. Jenny, what's going on?" She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she let out a big breath. "You need to go inside and see for yourself. I can't tell you on the phone. Jenny, please. I'm scared." "I'm so sorry, Heather. I'm so sorry." She hung up. Got out of my car. My legs felt like jelly. You know that feeling when something bad is about to happen? When your whole body knows before your brain does. That's how I felt. Each step toward my house felt like walking through deep mud. Heavy. Low. Hard. People were laughing inside. I could hear music playing. Happy sounds. Party sounds. I reached for my key, but my hand was shaking so much I dropped it. It made a loud noise on the ground. Nobody inside heard it. They were too busy having fun. Fun in my house. Fun that I wasn't invited to. Fun that was about to end. I picked up my key and opened the door. The first thing I saw was food. So much food. Cakes and cookies and sandwiches covering every table. Presents wrapped in shiny paper stacked in the corner. Streamers hanging from the ceiling in yellow and green. And people. So many people. My family. Daniel's family. Friends. All standing around holding drinks, eating cakes, smiling and laughing. And in the middle of the room, sitting in my favorite chair, the soft blue one I bought last year, was Jenny. My best friend Jenny. Her belly was huge. Round and big. She was going to have a baby very soon. And next to her, kneeling on the floor with his hand on her belly, was Daniel. My husband. His face was so happy. Happier than I'd seen him in months. Maybe years. He was rubbing Jenny's belly and smiling at her like she was the most special person in the world. Like she was his whole world. The way he used to look at me. But not anymore. Not for a long, long time. I stood in the doorway holding my suitcase. Nobody saw me at first. They were all too busy watching Jenny open presents. Baby clothes, tiny shoes, soft blankets. Things for the baby that was inside her. The baby that belonged to my husband. Then Jenny looked up. Her eyes got really big. Her mouth opened but no sound came out. The little baby outfit she was holding fell on the floor. "Heather," she whispered. But it was so quiet in the room now that everyone heard her. Every single head turned to look at me. My mom's face went white. My sister started to stand up, then sat back down. Daniel's mom just stared at me with hard, mean eyes. Like I was doing something wrong by being in my own house. But the worst part was Daniel. He didn't jump up. He didn't take his hand off Jenny's belly. He didn't look sorry or scared or sad. He looked angry. Angry at me. "You're not supposed to be here until Saturday," he said. His voice was cold. Like I was a stranger. Like I was bothering him. "Surprise," I whispered. My voice didn't sound like my voice. Sounded small and broken. The room was so quiet. Nobody moved. Nobody said sorry. Nobody even looked embarrassed. Finally, my mom stood up. "Heather, honey, maybe you should sit down. We can explain this." Explain. The word came out loud. Too loud. Explain how my husband made my best friend pregnant. Explain how you're all in my house having a party like this is normal. Explain how everyone knew except me. Jenny tried to stand up. Daniel helped her. He put his arm around her waist like he was protecting her. "From me. In my house." "Heather, it's not what you think," Jenny said. Her eyes were full of tears. "Not what I think. You're having my husband's baby. What else could it be?" "We didn't mean for it to happen," Daniel said. "But it did. And now we have to deal with it like grown-ups." Deal with it. Like grown-ups. I looked around the room. My family. My friends. At all these people I loved and trusted. You all knew. Everyone knew but me. Silence. "We didn't want to hurt you," my sister said quietly. "Didn't want to hurt me." I laughed. It didn't sound like a normal laugh. Sounded scary. "So you let me keep working. Keep paying for everything. Keep thinking my husband loved me. While you all kept this big secret." "Heather, you're being too loud," Daniel said. "This isn't good for the baby." "The baby." I stared at him. "What about me? What about your wife?" "Things haven't been good between us for a really long time," Daniel said. "You know that. Jenny and I, we make each other happy. We have something real. Something you and I don't have anymore." "Jenny." He called her Jenny. Not my friend. Not even Jenny who betrayed me. Just Jenny. Like she was his now. I looked at everyone in that room. My mom who called me every single day. My dad who I helped when he was sick last winter. My sister who I let live with us for 6 months when she had no money. Daniel's mom who I invited to every holiday dinner. Our friends who ate at my table so many times. Not one person looked sorry for me. They looked at me like I was the problem. Like I was ruining their nice party. "How long?" I asked. My voice was quiet again. Jenny and Daniel looked at each other. "How long have you been doing this?" "Heather," Jenny started. "How long?" 10 months, Daniel said. 10 months. Since last November. While I was working so hard to pay our bills. While I was believing his lies about looking for jobs. While I was being a good wife. 10 months of sneaking around behind my back. And everyone knew. Everyone knew and nobody told me. My mom stepped toward me. "Sweetheart, we thought it would be better if they told you themselves." "Better?" I turned to look at her. "You thought it was better to let me keep living a lie? To keep supporting a man who was cheating on me?" Daniel's mom spoke up. "Daniel and Jenny are in love. Real love. And that baby needs a family. Needs both parents. That baby," I said slowly, "has 2 parents who are liars. Who sneak around. Who hurt people." "Heather," my mom said. "That's enough." Whoa. I looked around one more time. This is enough. All of this is enough. I turned and walked back to the door. "Where are you going?" Daniel asked. "Away from here. Away from all of you." "Heather, you're acting crazy," Jenny said. She was crying now. "We didn't want it to happen like this. But we can still be friends. Can't we? I turned around and looked at her. Friends. You think we can be friends? The baby needs people around, she said. And Daniel will always be in your life. We have to find a way to make this work. Oh, Jenny, I said. My voice was sweet but mean at the same time. You have no idea what you just did. You have no idea at all. Something in my voice made her step back. Jared, you think this is about a baby? About love? You think you won something? I looked at Daniel. Really looked at him. In a few weeks, he was going to learn something important. Something painful. You want to know what you won, Daniel? You won freedom. Freedom from me. From my money. From everything I gave you. Congratulations. I walked out. Even though they were calling my name. Even though my mom was crying. Even though my dad was yelling for me to come back. I had nothing to say to them. But I had lots to do. I drove to a hotel near the airport. Not a fancy one. Just a normal one where nobody knew me. I paid with cash and went to my room. I sat on the bed in my work clothes and looked at myself in the mirror. I looked tired. But not broken. I wasn't broken. Not yet. I took out my phone and found a number I'd saved 2 years ago. Turchin. A lawyer who helped me buy our house. I kept her card because she seemed tough. Smart. Like someone who knew how to fight and win. It was late at night but I called anyway. Chen Law Office, Sarah Chen speaking. She sounded tired. Miss Chen, this is Heather Brooks. You helped me buy a house 2 years ago. I need to get a divorce. Yes. There was a pause. Mrs. Brooks, it's almost 10 at night. Are you sure you don't want to think about this? Divorce is a big thing. My husband cheated on me with my best friend for 10 months. She's going to have his baby in 2 months. I found out 3 hours ago at a surprise baby shower in my house. My house that I pay for. Everyone knew about it and nobody told me. Miss Chen, I have never been more sure about anything. Another pause. Can you meet me Monday morning at 9? Can't we do it sooner? This weekend. Mrs. Brooks, I understand you're upset. But right now I have surprise on my side, I interrupted. In 12 hours they're going to realize I'm serious. They'll start hiding things. Moving money. Getting ready to fight. I want to move while they still think they can talk me out of it. Longer pause. I'll meet you at my office tomorrow morning at 8. Saturday. Bring every paper you have about money. Bank statements. Bills. Everything. Thank you. Mrs. Brooks, don't do anything tonight. Don't talk to anyone. Don't move any money. Let me handle this the right way. I hung up without promising. Because I was about to move lots of money. I spent all night in that hotel room. I had my computer and lots of coffee from the machine downstairs. And a plan. Really good plan. First, I looked at our bank account online. Daniel could see the money, but my name was the only real name on it. I moved every dollar. All $12,000. Into my own private account that Daniel didn't know about. It was my money anyway. Earned it. Every single dollar. Next, I called the credit card companies. All the cards were in my name because Daniel's credit was bad. Really bad. I canceled every card. All of them. Then I called our mortgage company. The house loan was only in my name because Daniel's credit was too bad to help. I told them to send all letters to my office from now on. And to stop taking money out automatically. By morning, Daniel's world was about to change. Change a lot. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Called my work voicemail. I left myself a message to call Human Resources on Monday. I needed to change who would get my life insurance if I died. And who to call if something happened to me. Daniel's name needed to come off everything. Every single thing. As the sun came up, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. Real power. The kind that comes from finally seeing clearly. My phone buzzed all night. Calls and texts from everyone. Daniel. Jenny. My mom. My dad. I didn't read any of them. But now I open them. Daniel. Heather, where are you? We need to talk. Daniel, you're being ridiculous. Come home now. Daniel. I know you're mad but you can't just disappear like this. Daniel. Where the hell are you? Honey, please call me. We love you. Dad. Don't do something you'll be sorry for. Think about family. Jenny. Heather, I'm so sorry. I never wanted you to find out like this. Please let me explain. Jenny. The baby needs everyone to be calm. We need to figure out how to be a family together. I deleted every message. Every single one. At exactly 8 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting in Sarah Chen's office. I had a big folder full of papers. Bank statements. Bills. Everything. You've been busy, she said, looking at my list. I'm just getting started. She looked at me over her glasses. Mrs. Brooks, I have to ask. Are you sure you want to be this harsh? Sometimes couples can go to counseling. They can. Ms. Chen, I interrupted. Let me be very clear. My husband hasn't had a job for 9 months. In those 9 months I paid for everything. The house, car, the food, the electric, the water, everything. He paid for nothing. And while I was working, he was cheating on me with my best friend. He got her pregnant. My whole family knew and said nothing. I leaned forward. They had their chance to do the right thing. Now it's my turn. She nodded slowly. What do you want? I want him to get nothing. Not money. Not my savings. Not furniture. Nothing. I want him gone. And I want him to learn that his choices have consequences. Real consequences. The house is in my name only, she said, making notes. I bought it before we got married. Never added his name. Mart. Your savings. Mine. He never worked, so he never saved anything. This might be easier than I thought. In Illinois we split things fairly. But since you kept everything separate and he didn't help pay for anything, this works in your favor. There's one more thing, I said. I want this done fast. I don't want this to take forever. How fast? If he doesn't fight it, maybe 6 weeks. 2 months at most. And if he does fight, could be 6 months, maybe more. Smiled. He won't fight. Trust me. I didn't go home that weekend. I stayed in the hotel. I had food delivered. I needed time to think. Plan. To get ready for what came next. Monday morning I went to work like normal. But first I stopped at Human Resources. I need to change some things, I told Mrs. Patterson, the HR lady. My emergency contact. My insurance. Everything. Course, dear. Is everything okay? I'm getting divorced. Her face changed. She looked sad for me. I'm so sorry, Heather. What do you need? In an hour, Daniel was off my health insurance. Off my life insurance. Off everything at work. My emergency contact was now my Aunt Linda. She was the only family member who wasn't at that baby shower. Then I called the mortgage company again. What happens if I stop paying my house loan? I asked the lady on the phone. Well, you'd be in trouble after 30 days. And we'd start taking your house after 90 days. And if I wanted to sell the house really fast, what's the fastest way? Are you having money troubles, Mrs. Brooks? We have programs that can help. No money troubles. I just want to know what I can do. I wrote down everything she told me. By Tuesday, Daniel was calling my work. Mrs. Brooks, there's a Daniel Brooks on the phone, my helper Amy said. She sounded careful. He says he's your husband. Tell him I can't talk right now. He's called 6 times today. Then tell him 6 times I can't talk. Wednesday he came to my office building. Security called me. There's a man downstairs who wants to see you, they said. Tell security to make him leave. And if he comes back, call the police. Thursday, the divorce papers were delivered to him. Amy buzzed me around 10 in the morning. Mrs. Brooks, Sarah Chen is calling. Heather, the papers were delivered this morning. Your husband has 30 days to answer. How did he react? My delivery guy said he looked really shocked. Kept saying there must be a mistake. Does he have a lawyer yet? Not yet. But give him time. I hung up and went back to work. I had projects to finish. And a life to build. By Friday, I found out if Daniel would fight the divorce. He was waiting by my car when I left work that evening. Heather. He stepped out from behind a wall. I was shocked by how bad he looked. His hair was messy. His clothes were wrinkled. He had dark circles under his eyes. He looked terrible. Daniel. Kept walking to my car. Keys in my hand. We need to talk. No, we don't. You can't just throw away 6 years of marriage without talking. I stopped and turned around. 6 years. When exactly were we married, Daniel? Because for the last 10 months, it seems like you were married to someone else. That's not fair. What's not fair is me working all the time to support you while you cheated on me. What's not fair is finding out at a baby shower in my house. What's not fair is my whole family knowing and not telling me. Look, I know this looks bad. Looks bad. I laughed. It is bad, Daniel. It's exactly what it looks like. It's more complicated than that. Well, it really isn't. I started walking again. He followed me. The baby's coming in 2 months, he said. Jenny needs help. I can't just leave her alone. And I couldn't leave you alone when you lost your job. But here we are. That's different. Is it? I reached my car and turned around one more time. You made your choice, Daniel. You chose to cheat. You chose to get another woman pregnant. You chose to let everyone lie to me. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. You're really going to divorce me. Already am. You've been served. You froze our accounts. I can't get to any money. They weren't our accounts. They were my accounts. My money that I earned. I need money for food. For gas. To live. Then get a job. Heather, please. I know I messed up. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I stared at him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. There is no we anymore. There's you and your pregnant girlfriend and your baby. That's your family now. You deal with it. I got in my car and drove away. Left him standing there alone in the parking lot. That night I called Aunt Linda. Heather, sweetheart. I was wondering when you'd call. I heard what happened. You heard. Your mom called me. She's worried about you. Are you going to try to make me forgive him too? Baby girl, I've been married 4 times. 3 of those men cheated on me. You want to know what I learned? What? A man who cheats on you while you're paying all the bills isn't worth keeping. And family who knows about it and doesn't tell you isn't family worth trusting. I started crying. First time since all this started. You come stay with me for a while, Aunt Linda said. And don't feel bad about protecting yourself. You did nothing wrong. I moved in with Aunt Linda the next week. She lived in a nice apartment about 15 minutes from my work. For the first time in months I could breathe. How are you doing with money? She asked one morning over breakfast. What do you mean? Well, if you were paying for Daniel and now you're not. Smiled. That's the good part. I'm not dealing with his money problems. Yes. By the 3rd week after I served him papers, things were getting bad for him. I knew because Amy was getting lots of desperate calls. He called 8 times yesterday, she told me. He sounded really upset. What did he want? He wanted to know when you were going to stop being mean and come home. I told him you weren't available. He asked if I knew where you were living. I told him that wasn't my business to share. But what Daniel didn't know was that I'd also called the mortgage company. I asked them how much money I needed to pay off the house completely. The house was worth about $200,000. I owed $150,000. I could pay it all off and sell it. Or I could just let the bank take it. Either way, he was going to have nowhere to live soon. I decided to let him figure that out himself. The first sign that things were really bad came when my mom called. Heather, you have to stop this, she said right away. Daniel is falling apart. But that's a mean thing to say. Is it? Because I think it's mean to cheat on your wife with her best friend. People make mistakes, honey. Mom, if you called to tell me to forgive him, don't bother. I'm not interested. But what about Jenny? She's going to have the baby any day now. The stress isn't good for the baby. Then maybe she shouldn't have gotten pregnant by a married man. Heather. You don't get to act shocked. You were at that party. You knew about the cheating and said nothing. You picked their side. We never pick sides. Yes, you did. You picked to keep their secret. You picked to celebrate their baby in my house that I paid for. You picked everyone over your own daughter. Silence. I don't have anything else to say to you, I said. Then I hung up. But the calls kept coming. From my dad. From my sister. From Daniel's mom. From friends who thought I was being too mean. Every single one acted like I should be okay with it because Jenny was pregnant. Like I should just swallow my hurt and be nice. Like I should be the good ex-wife who wanted everyone to be happy. They were about to learn something important. 6 weeks after I filed for divorce, I got the call I was waiting for. Mrs. Brooks, this is Michelle from First National Mortgage. Your account is 90 days late. We need to talk about options before we take your house. Actually, I want to talk about selling the house. That changes things. Do you have a real estate agent? Not yet. But I want someone who can sell it fast. Can give you some names. I picked an agent who sold houses quickly. I told her I wanted it sold as fast as possible. Price it to sell, I told her. I don't care about getting the most money. What about your husband? Does he need to sign papers? The house is in my name only. He has no rights to it. Well, that makes it easy. In a week, there was a for sale sign in the yard. That's when Daniel finally called and demanded to talk. You can't sell the house, he yelled when I answered. And I am. Where am I supposed to live? Not my problem. I have nowhere to go. You have Jenny. I'm sure she has room for you. She's living with her parents. There's no room there. I felt happy hearing that. Then you better figure something out fast. You can't do this. It's cruel. What's cruel is cheating on your wife. What's cruel is getting your wife's best friend pregnant. What's cruel is having everyone lie to her for 10 months. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Now deal with it. Heather, please. I'm begging you. Don't do this. For just a second I almost felt bad. This was the man I loved for 6 years. The man I wanted to grow old with. Hearing him beg hurt more than I expected. But then I remembered his face at that baby shower. How he protected Jenny from me. How he called her Jenny with such love while treating me like trash. You made your bed, Daniel. Now sleep in it with your pregnant girlfriend. Hung up. 2 days later the house sold. The buyers were a young couple who could pay cash and close in 3 weeks. They offered exactly what I asked for. I used the money to pay off the mortgage. The rest went into my savings. I was now completely out of debt. And I had enough money to start over anywhere I wanted. But I wasn't leaving town yet. I wanted to watch the rest happen. 3 months after filing for divorce, I saw an old coworker at a coffee shop. Marcus used to work at Daniel's old company before he switched jobs. Heather, how are you? I heard about he stopped awkwardly. About your divorce. I'm great, actually. Better than I've been in a long time. I'm glad. You deserve better than well anyway. He paused. I don't know if I should tell you this, but I saw Daniel last week. Oh. He applied for a job at my company. I was in the interview. How did it go? Marcus made a face. Not good. He looked terrible. Like he hadn't slept in weeks. And when we asked about why he hadn't worked in so long, he got mad. Started talking about how his mean ex-wife ruined his life. I almost spit out my coffee. He said that in a job interview. Oh, it gets worse. When we asked for references, he couldn't give any. Turns out he burned bridges with everyone from his old job. And when we called his old company, they said he was fired for doing bad work. Not laid off like he told everyone. We didn't hire him. I felt bad, but we can't hire someone who talks bad about his ex-wife in an interview. After Marcus left, I sat in that coffee shop for another hour. Daniel was messing up his own life. And he was blaming me. Perfect. That night my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Heather. It's Jenny. I almost hung up. But I was curious. What do you want? I'm in the hospital. Even though I was mad, I got worried. What happened? Is the baby okay? The baby's fine. I'm fine. But she started crying. Daniel's not here. What do you mean? I went into labor yesterday. I called him over and over. He didn't answer. My mom had to drive me. Where was he? Looking for work, I guess. But Heather, he's been gone for 3 days. He said he had job interviews in another city. Might stay overnight. But that was Monday. It's Thursday. And I think he's drinking again. Drinking again. He had a problem in college. Before you two dated. Thought he stopped. But lately she sniffed. He's been coming to my parents' house smelling like alcohol. And yesterday when I called, he sounded drunk. I should have felt happy. This was exactly what I hoped would happen. But instead I felt something different. Pity. For her. Not for him. Jenny, why are you calling me? Because I don't know what to do. My parents are already stressed about me living there with the baby. Now Daniel's gone and I'm scared and I don't have anyone else to stop. My voice was hard. You don't get to call me for help. You don't get to use me as your backup after you stole my husband. I know, but nothing. You wanted him, Jenny. You fought for him. You got pregnant with his baby. You destroyed my marriage. Well, congratulations. This is what you won. Heather, please. You were my best friend for 12 years. Then you stabbed me in the back for a man who can't even show up when you're having his baby. That's your choice. Now live with it. Hung up. Then I blocked her number. But her words stayed with me all night. Daniel was drinking. He was disappearing. Jenny was alone in a hospital with his baby. Good, I told myself. They deserve each other. The divorce was final on a cold Tuesday in March. For months exactly after I walked into that baby shower. I sat in court next to Sarah Chen. The judge signed papers that officially ended my marriage. Daniel wasn't there. His court-given lawyer, he couldn't afford his own, said he was dealing with family stuff. What kind of stuff? The judge asked. His newborn son is very sick, Your Honor. Born too early. Had problems. Felt something. Not sympathy. But not happiness either. A sick baby was serious. No matter what. But then the lawyer said more. Mr. Brooks is also in treatment right now. For alcohol problems. There it was. The last piece falling. Sarah leaned over and whispered. Are you okay going forward without him here? Absolutely. The judge looked at our agreement one more time. It was exactly what I wanted. I kept everything that was mine. Which was almost everything. The house money. My savings. My car. My stuff. Daniel got nothing except his clothes and his debt. Mrs. Brooks. Do you understand this means neither of you pay the other person monthly money? Yes, Your Honor. And you're happy with this? Completely. Very well. The marriage between Heather Brooks and Daniel Brooks is over. Just like that. Walking out of court, I felt lighter. Like a heavy backpack had been taken off my shoulders. The spring air smelled fresh and clean. For the first time since this nightmare started, I could see my future clearly. Sarah walked me to my car. What's next for you? I got offered a big promotion at work. Director of sales. But it means moving to Denver. Congratulations. You taking it? Think so. Nothing keeping me here anymore. What about your family? I thought about my parents. They still called sometimes to make me feel guilty about leaving Daniel when he needed help. About my sister who sent me a mean letter about how I was destroying a baby's chance to have a father. My real family is Aunt Linda. She's thinking about moving to Colorado anyway. Says she likes mountains better than flat land. Sarah smiled. Sounds like a fresh start. Exactly what I need. 6 months later, I was in my new life in Denver. I had a big office with windows that showed mountains. A nice apartment in a fun neighborhood. And for the first time in years I was dating. Nothing serious. But it felt good to remember I was a good person who deserved to be treated well. I hadn't heard anything about Daniel or Jenny since the divorce. And I was happy about that. But Aunt Linda, who moved to Boulder and visited often, sometimes had news from Chicago. Your mom called me last week, she said, over dinner at my favorite restaurant. Oh. She wanted me to give you a message. Me guess. Daniel's doing terrible and it's all my fault. She shook her head. Oh. She wanted to say sorry. Real sorry. Not for Daniel. That's between you and him. But for not telling you about the cheating. For protecting him instead of you. For making you feel like your feelings were wrong. Thank you. You're my daughter. I should have been on your side from the beginning. You should have. Can you forgive me? I thought about it while I finished my food. Could I forgive her? Could I forgive any of them? I can forgive you, I said finally. But things are different now. I'm different now. I'm not going to pretend what happened didn't matter. And I'm not going back to how things were before. Understand? Hope you do. 'Cause I like who I've become. I like the life I built. And I'm not going to give it up for anyone. Ever again. I'm proud of you, she said. I could hear tears in her voice. I know I didn't show it at the time. But I'm proud of how strong you've been. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment thinking about strength. My whole life I thought being strong meant putting up with things. Taking care of others. Making excuses for people who hurt me. Sacrificing my happiness for theirs. Now I knew better. Real strength was knowing your worth. Walking away from people who betrayed you even when it was hard. Building a life so good that you didn't need anyone's permission to feel complete. I'm writing this from my home office in my new house in the mountains outside Denver. Through my window I can see tall trees and snow on the peaks. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. I'm about to meet my boyfriend Marcus for breakfast before we go hiking. Yes, the same Marcus from the coffee shop. We started dating 6 months ago. He's nothing like Daniel. He's a successful engineer who runs his own company. He treats me like an equal, like a partner. When I told him about my first marriage, he said exactly what I needed to hear. I'm sorry that happened to you. And I'm glad it brought you here. I still live alone. And I plan to keep it that way for a while. I learned that I like my own space. My own schedule. My own money. If I ever combine my life with someone else's again, it will add to my happiness. Not be required for it. I haven't talked to Daniel since that day outside the courthouse. But I heard through Aunt Linda that he eventually got sober. Found work at a warehouse outside Chicago. He sees his son every other weekend now. And from what she says, he's trying to be responsible. I hope that's true. Not because I forgive him. Moving on is different from forgiving. But because his son deserves a dad who shows up and is stable. Jenny tried to contact me about a year ago on social media. She wanted to make things right. Rebuild our friendship. I deleted the message without answering. Some bridges once burned should stay that way. My relationship with my parents is polite but distant. We talk on holidays, birthdays. They're careful to ask about my life without giving advice I didn't ask for. It's not the close relationship we had before. But it's honest. And that matters more now. The house I lived in with Daniel was sold 3 years ago to that young couple. I hope they're happier there than I was. I hope they're stronger than I was. I hope they never have to learn what I learned. But if they do, I hope they learn it as well as I did. People sometimes ask if I'm sorry about how I handled the divorce. If I think I was too harsh, too unforgiving. They say maybe I should have tried counseling. Maybe I should have thought about the baby. Maybe I should have been more understanding about Daniel's problems. To those people I say this. I spent 6 years understanding Daniel's problems. I spent 6 years being patient and supportive and forgiving. I spent 6 years making excuses for someone who was lying to me every day. I gave him my loyalty, my trust, my money, my love. In return, he gave me lies. Betrayal. I owed him nothing after that. Not understanding. Not forgiveness. Not a soft place to land after his bad choices. What I owed myself was protection, respect, and the chance to build a life worth living. That's exactly what I did. Some people call what I did revenge. I think of it as justice. Or better yet, self-respect in action. I didn't destroy Daniel's life. He did that when he chose to cheat on me with my best friend. I just stopped preventing the natural results of his actions. I stopped being his safety net, his bank account, his excuse maker. I stopped protecting him from reality. And reality was harsh. But that wasn't my job to fix. It was his job to face. I learned something important through all this. You teach people how to treat you. For 6 years, I taught Daniel he could take me for granted. That he could depend on me no matter what. That I would always be there to fix his messes. Taught him wrong. Now I teach people something different. I teach them I have boundaries, standards, that I won't accept disrespect or betrayal or lies. I teach them I'm worth more than that. And they listen. The men I date now treat me well because they know I won't accept less. My co-workers respect me because I respect myself. My friends value our friendships because they know I won't stay friends with people who hurt me. I'm not the same woman who walked into that baby shower 3 years ago. That woman forgave too much, understood too much, was willing to sacrifice her happiness for others' comfort. This woman, the woman I am now, is stronger, smarter, infinitely happier. This woman knows her worth and refuses to accept less than she deserves. This woman built a life so good that nobody can take it away from her. This woman doesn't need anyone's approval to feel complete. 8 months after my divorce was final, I flew back to Chicago for a work meeting. I wasn't planning to see anyone from my old life, but sometimes fate has other plans. I was walking out of my hotel on my last night when I saw him. Daniel was sitting on a bench outside a coffee shop across the street. For a moment I didn't recognize him. He'd lost weight. Lots of weight. His hair was long and messy. His clothes looked old and dirty. He was staring at nothing, holding a paper cup of coffee. The cheapest kind. This was the man who broke my heart. The man I loved for 6 years. The man I supported and trusted and believed in. He looked like a ghost. I should have walked away. Should have gotten in my car and driven to the airport without looking back. Instead, I found myself crossing the street. Daniel. He looked up. I saw the moment he recognized me. His face showed so many feelings. Surprise. Shame. Oh. Sadness. Then just acceptance. Heather. I sat on the other end of the bench, far away from him. You look. He stopped, shaking his head. You look amazing. Success looks good on you. Thank you. We sat quietly for a few minutes. He smelled like alcohol and cigarettes. I could see his hands shaking as he held his coffee. I heard about the baby, I said finally. Congratulations. He laughed. But it wasn't a happy laugh. Congratulations. I haven't seen him in 2 months. Jenny won't let me near him. Maybe that's for the best. Probably. He took a drink of coffee. I messed up everything, didn't I? You did. I thought. He shook his head. I don't know what I thought. That starting over with someone new would be easier. Guess. That if I could be with someone who didn't know I was a failure. I never thought you were a failure. Well, but I felt like one. You were so successful. So together. And I was just an unemployed loser living off his wife's money. So you decided to cheat on me with my best friend. I decided to be selfish. I decided to take the easy way instead of dealing with my problems. He looked at me for the first time. I'm sorry, Heather. I know that doesn't mean anything now. But I'm sorry. I looked at his face. Looking for lies. For manipulation. For the charm he always used when he needed something. But I didn't see that. I just saw a broken man who destroyed his own life through his choices. What happened to you, Daniel? The drinking, I mean, started right after you left. Couldn't handle the guilt. Couldn't handle the stress. Couldn't handle knowing I threw away the best thing in my life. For he gestured vaguely. For nothing. Jenny wasn't nothing, was she? She loved the idea of me. Maybe the idea of taking someone else's husband. Of winning some game I didn't even know we were playing. But she didn't love me. How could she? She didn't know me. I thought about what Aunt Linda told me. About Jenny admitting she pursued him. About the lies they both told. She admitted she came after you, I said. Took her long enough. He rubbed his face. You want to know the really messed up part? I knew you were the better person. Always knew. You were loyal. Hardworking. Honest. Everything I wasn't. Then why? Because she made me feel like I was worth something. Like I was desirable instead of just tolerated. She looked at me like I was a prize instead of a burden. He laughed again. Turns out when you get the prize, you realize it wasn't worth what you paid. I felt tears in my eyes, but I blinked them away. What are you going to do now? I don't know. Try to stay sober again. Try to find a job that doesn't need references. Try to figure out how to be a father to a son I can't see. You could move away. Start over somewhere new. With what money? I can barely afford gas for my car. And that's when it's running. I reached in my purse and pulled out my wallet. I had about $50 in cash. I gave it to him without thinking. He stared at the money like it might bite him. Can't take this. It's not a loan. It's not charity. It's closure. Closure. You said sorry. Believe you mean it. This conversation is the ending our marriage should have had. Civil, honest, human. He took the money with shaking hands. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just try to be better. For your son if not for yourself. I stood to leave. But his voice stopped me. Heather. Yeah. You were right to leave me. You were right about everything. I looked down at him one more time. This broken shell of the man I once loved. And felt something I didn't expect. I know, I said. Take care of yourself, Daniel. I flew back to Denver the next morning with a strange feeling of completion. Seeing Daniel like that, destroyed, desperate, alone, should have felt like winning. And in a way it did. Justice happened. Karma worked. But what felt even better was realizing I didn't need him to suffer for me to be happy. I had built a new life that was completely mine. A life where I was valued, respected, successful, free. A life where I didn't have to support anyone who didn't support me back. That was the real victory. My phone rang as I walked through Denver Airport. It was my mom. Heather. Aunt Linda told me you saw Daniel. I did. How are you feeling about that? Thought carefully. Sad for him. Grateful for me. Ready to move on completely. I owe you a real apology, my mom said quietly. Not for Daniel. That's between you two. But for not telling you about the cheating. For choosing to protect him instead of you. For making you feel like you were wrong. Thank you. You're my daughter. I should have been on your side from the start. You should have. Can you forgive me? I thought about it while I walked to my gate. Could I forgive her? Could I forgive any of them? Can forgive you, I said. But things are different now. I'm different now. I won't pretend what happened didn't matter. And I won't go back to how things were. Understand. Hope you do. 'Cause I like who I've become. I like the life I built. And I won't give it up for anyone. Ever again. I'm proud of you, she said. Her voice had tears. I know I didn't show it then. But I'm proud of how strong you've been. After we hung up, I sat in the airport thinking about strength. My whole life I thought being strong meant enduring things. Putting up with bad treatment. Making excuses for people who hurt me. Sacrificing my happiness so others could be happy. Now I knew different. Real strength was knowing your worth. Walking away from people who betrayed you even when it hurt. Building a life so good you didn't need anyone's approval to feel whole. I'm writing this from my home office in my new house in the Colorado mountains. Through my window I can see pine trees and snowy peaks. It's a perfect Saturday morning. I'm about to meet Marcus for breakfast before we hike. Marcus treats me like a partner. An equal. When I told him my story, he said exactly what I needed. I'm sorry that happened. And I'm thankful it led you here. I still live by myself. I plan to keep it that way for a while. I learned I like my space. My schedule. My money. If I ever share my life with someone again, it will add to my happiness. Not be required for it. I haven't spoken to Daniel since that night at the coffee shop. But Aunt Linda says he got sober. Found warehouse work. Sees his son every other weekend. He's trying to be responsible. I hope it's true. Not because I forgive him. Moving on is different from forgiving. But because his son deserves a present, stable dad. Jenny tried reaching out a year ago on social media. Wanted to make amends. Rebuild our friendship. I deleted it without responding. Some burned bridges should stay burned. My relationship with my parents is polite but distant. We talk on holidays. They ask about my life without giving unwanted advice. It's not as close as before. But it's honest. That matters more. The house I shared with Daniel sold 3 years ago to that young couple. I hope they're happier there. I hope they're stronger. I hope they never learn what I learned. But if they do, I hope they learn it thoroughly. People ask if I regret how I handled things. If I was too harsh, too unforgiving. They say maybe I should have tried counseling. Thought about the baby. Been more understanding. To them I say this. I spent 6 years understanding. Being patient. supportive, forgiving, making excuses for someone lying to me daily. I gave him loyalty, trust, money, love. He gave me lies, betrayal, pain. I owed him nothing after that. Not understanding, not forgiveness, not a soft landing. What I owed myself was protection, respect, a chance to build a life worth living. That's what I did. Some call it revenge. Call it justice. Self-respect in action. I didn't destroy Daniel's life. He did that by cheating. I just stopped preventing natural consequences. Stopped being his safety net, his bank, his excuse maker. Stopped protecting him from reality. Reality was harsh. But fixing it wasn't my job. Facing it was his. I learned you teach people how to treat you. For 6 years I taught Daniel he could take me for granted. Depend on me always. That I'd fix his messes. Taught wrong. Now I teach different. Have boundaries, standards. Won't accept disrespect, betrayal, or lies. I'm worth more. And people listen. Men I date treat me well because they know I won't accept less. Co-workers respect me because I respect myself. Friends value our friendship because they know I won't stay with people who hurt me. I'm not that woman from 3 years ago. That woman forgave too much. This woman is stronger, smarter, happier. This woman knows her worth and refuses less. This woman built a life nobody can take away. And that's the real victory.